campaign chairman. And this from a Democrat member of Congress, quote, I do think. Well, hello. I'm going live again because I don't, you know, like Tracy Uncensored. Remember that? Tracy Uncensored. She probably was a bad apple that made everybody else uncensored. Or censored, rather. Let me mute this. Vandalizing our electoral system for partisan advantage. Okay. Of course, that wasn't fair. And we haven't even mentioned China's. Oh, here it is. Okay, so I was just listening, as you can see, to an English or Australian man, I'm not sure, about not crediting the president, or about, I should say, let me regurgitate what I just heard from Steve Hilton. He said that basically back in 2016, when people voted for Donald Trump, everybody was claiming illegitimacy. So it seems like this is like very typical. Like for me, this sounds more so as putting the carriage ahead of the horse every time. When somebody puts the horse ahead of the carriage, it means like, we know what you want to do, but we want to do it first and we're going to win. But the people that were doing it first and didn't want to win, but they just did it because they had to, because that was right, as in, oh, wait, left is big, right? But right is small. Okay, so when you do that, you're kind of not the bigger person, and you're kind of not the leader, and you're kind of the person that's inevitably going to rely on people like me. You're going to rely on people like me to hold things together, to make sure that everything is in order, etc. When you're playing on the right, where it's very, you know, liberal, you're not necessarily always being conservative. And guess why? Because you can use a lot of people to go and loot, to go and ruin people's lives. At the end of the day, you hold the checkbook for them, which is called social welfare, which, by the way, when social welfare was even and you know, started here in the United States, it was with Roosevelt. I don't think it was Teddy. I think it was Fred, but I'm not sure. It's been a long time since I took my civil, my Western U.S. history from industrialization to now. Excuse my speech. It's been a long day. So either way, from that point forward, it was already questioned whether you should offer these types of services. And of course, at a very grassroots, very small government level, that works. If you can bring it up, I think as a Republican, you're either right or left. I'm sorry, I get them mixed up. I mean, I get my right and my left hand. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, turn left and I mean my right. So forgive me. What I mean to say is really Republicans are more for smaller government. It's local. You have to, it is a higher, greater, it has more tiers to the hierarchy where you have to go through processes, and that's fine because at the end of the day, it really just all revolves around what you can do around your own community and how you can sustain that community. And California, if you can sustain your own self and just not rely on federal resources, go for it. I mean, seriously, I'm not territorial, so I'm the last person to speak about maybe military terms about protecting nations, etc. But I do know that a family is the nuclear. Um, it's what this is what was defined at one point as a nuclear entity of any civilization, any society, and civilized community that comes of a larger group. So when you don't have this nuclear type of explosion, uh, energy, I should say, you don't really have anything. So I don't really think that our president, should I call him a president elect? I don't, a president wannabe. Can I? Joe Biden is a president wannabe. They're wannabes. Sorry. You're a wannabe. You're not who you are. And I'm not necessarily as inspired. I'm not sure why, but I'm just going to go through some of my notes that I took down. Okay, so the first thing that I noted was that Donald Trump was already rich. He may have had some deals that were not necessarily favorable to the United States, but he became rich and obviously has cash flows streaming through that is possible, is not necessarily materializing into any corporate taxes, income taxes, whatever. Maybe income tax, maybe at the individual level they are. Maybe his corporate taxes are not. People that know taxes would understand why. That's the point of having a corporation. If there's also a lot of other people employed and are benefiting from it. So it creates a labor market. So when you have a healthy corporation, you also have a lot of well-off employees that may or may not be as savvy and in the position to, to dictate and explore investments abroad. But that can definitely speak to the legitimacy of the corporation and be. I don't really want to get into I guess approving people. I'm a Christian first, and I'm a Roman Catholic second. So Christianity means that you are very much trying to assimilate what Jesus came to taught here. The Roman Catholic Church is only trying to provide a visual, like a earthly type of path to accomplishing that. So that's all fine. But on the other hand, Joe Biden got rich from being in politics. Okay, so that's fine too. Maybe he's a really good, talented. How many of us have wanted to change the world and we couldn't? How many of us wanted to speak our voice and we couldn't? Well, many of us, because we all have our own voice, we all have our own experiences, and we can all share from that point in time what might have been done wrong that another person wasn't pri- privy to, or if you call that privy to, because obviously, in some circumstances, it might not be the best thing. And we're talking about the world is not always negative. The world is also positive sometimes. And you have to look at the positive side of what you can bring to life. And that's what you have to focus on. So even though Joe Biden could have gotten rich from being just like this great politician, why are we not, why are we still just being fooled into being this great nation? Sure, we're bringing back our troops. Awesome. That's fantastic. That should have been done a long time ago. We don't need to be fighting people that we're not necessarily interested in fighting, because, well, for one, I really do think that Western thinkers hesitate a little bit to kill somebody, and Eastern thinkers are a little bit more like, they'll be a little bit more animalistic. So that's that. And of course, if you wanted to indoctrinate or colonize them, that's a different story. But now we have people in this nation saying that they're colonized and they're restrained. Restrained to what? Like, I take jobs that, even with my own capabilities, that I'm pretty sure that I can make a whole lot. I don't, and I'm not criticizing anybody that has made a lot from their skills, but I'm saying I'm really interested more so in establishing a uniform type of progress, so that when my wages increase, yours, etc., and it's always fair and everybody always has at least something, so that homelessness is no longer, and people are just being dignified, and they can carry themselves that way. And God loves us all the same way, and he has a calling, and the calling for people that he holds special is very hard. It's hard. Look at Jesus. Jesus had to die on a cross. His calling. Do you know what Jesus did for people? Jesus was curing people. He was making people feel whole, a part of things. But he had to die. So it's the same thing. This is the nature of our situation. When I say something, it doesn't mean that everything has been easy for me to say so. It might seem easy now, and I'm always going to be forward, towards God, and keep myself from trouble and always worship. But it means that if I say so, I shall also have a sacrifice, and it's going to be hard for me. And I'm never going to try and convince anybody of anything that they don't feel inside themselves, because, as Jesus said, he's the shepherd and the sheep will follow, and he will know. There's no reason for it. Either way. Now, comparing Trump and Biden on these terms means that Trump is definitely going to probably suffer a little bit, in my opinion, in his, because God doesn't like, Biden is between Biden and Trump has been safe, right? He's just, like, God will forgive me. He knows my heart. Biden is, God is sucky. He's not going to forgive me, and I'm just going to use people. This is Biden. Biden is down here. So even if Trump has to suffer, this is why I really would understand why Trump might lose. These people are not. So another thing that I have actually said is that maybe Biden is he has been on in public media saying that he prostituted himself. Why would he do that? Because I mean, I'm a Mexican person, but what about all the white people out in the Midwest, Central America, out east even? I don't really care for New Yorkers, to be honest. I mean, uh, most of them end up moving out here, really. You know, they try and come out here with their little comfy, oh, whatever their accent might be. Either way, so I, if Trump wins, this is a very good sign that the Lord has forgiven everything and this nation has repented. If Biden wins, I really do feel that prostitutes will win. And I think that this is, God, where I lose it and just start using a lot of inappropriate language like retarded bitches and whores. But this is where people start to think, well, I think that if Jesus came to forgive us all, then we should just all be prostitutes, bitches, and whores. No, that's not what Jesus meant. Jesus came to establish a whole new era where people were going to repent. He already put us through so many years of gloom. There was the conquistadors, for example. There's always, and guess what? When God unleashes his demons and all evil spirits, it's gonna come at a time where nobody suspects it because everything's going well. But he's gonna use sensual pleasure, and we're all gonna just like sort of be comfortable because we don't have money. Well, guess what? God is gonna provide for everybody no matter what. And all you have to do is have faith. Look at me, even like I'm worried. Like, am I saying the right thing or whatever? But you have to trust in God, and you have to definitely pick up your arms. But you have to pick up your arms in the name of what's good and what is dictated to the long-term plan. The short-term plan is always going to be me. This is what I want right now, and it's unfair. Okay, that's fine. I would love to help people that are in distraught, dismay, whatever. But that is my first point. I really do feel, if I may back up, that the United States has made a little bit of an error. Not an error, but set the boundary for adulthood, maybe at to what I'm trying to say is this is because we have psychological development experts that are setting ages for people that from that stage onwards. And once they hit this, is that can happen and that can happen. It really does create an opportunity for people to almost thrive on, prey on it. Like predators. Like, well, now since you're this age and you're that, so it's not fair for the government to set these. From my experience as a parent, I had to let go of a lot of my own, parental authority to the public system, because who am I? And this is what's out there, and I can't control what my kids are learning and what the teachers. I'm not going to say that there was any problem with any of the instructors that I've ever had. They were all great, and I'm appreciative. I was a busy parent, and I was trying to always come home to them and be able to do homework together with them, etc. And then, of course, there was my personal life. And so it's not necessarily as sophisticated, I would say. You don't necessarily have a very case-to-case type of scenario between families, so that if your own kids, and I feel that, but that's a separate story. That's my own life. Okay, I messed up, but not really, because I have two great kids. They really are. They really are. They don't even talk to me. So they have to be pretty great, I think. Anyhow, with any government that tries to take over, they're definitely relying on a sort of established network of a system, like we have, for example. And the Los Angeles mayor is probably going to hate me for this, but Eric Garcetti, he's such a total big government, but also he's so small-minded. He's just really thinking about his little city, which is the third biggest city in the world, but fine. And therefore, he's not going to be running a country, because that's a country in itself. Okay. And he's not necessarily thinking outside of what is going on here. And to me, I thought maybe with like the hurricanes that were going on, people did flock here. Maybe people are here because they don't want the hurricanes, they don't want the tornadoes. And how do you build a society where people don't just move here to try and get rich off of people, but also just offer a place to live, like in the days where we were just one big tribe, and a chief kept all the food in one place, and then everybody who couldn't survive anywhere else had a place to live, and then everybody had to share whatever skills to promote that place and make it better. So you can't just you don't just use the current laws and system to build your own career like Kamala Harris did. That's what she did. She used a system that she wanted to once reject to become, to surpass it. She thinks that she has surpassed a system that that brought her people meaning Black people down, not Mexicans or whites. She doesn't care about Mexican people or white people. She cares about Black people specifically. She cares about Black people and Islam. I'll get in a ring with an Islamic woman. I'll get in a ring, put on my gloves and be like, just, like knock her up a little bit. But that's it. Like, I'm not gonna do the whole like national thing and like the whole like I'm just not gonna like try and pretend I'm a leader because I can protect one group over the other. You have to look at what at motives. And Kamala should be good at motives because she was a prosecutor. I'm not sure what case she was on. I'm telling you, I really do. Maybe the FBI agency is in charge of, I don't know, what is it? Right, chaperoning, like channeling people out from politics, or I'm sorry, from wherever, like the enforcement area, executive branch of the checks and balances onto the legislative. Well, guess what? You have to go do this. So, okay. I get carried away. So here's another thing is Donald Trump has been working on a peaceful transition from the day that he stepped in. That's what I recall. Ever since he stepped in, he's been working on a peaceful transition. There was never in his mind, as far as what I can read, ever a moment that he was trying to block people like, and now I'm in control. No, he was, and even up to now, he's been saying, and you don't speak to presidents that way. He is working on a peaceful transition. Can I just mention now, on a side commercial type of thing, Biden is buying his presidency based on, oh my God, that's the wine. Jeez, that's part of my commercial. But seriously, like, he has to have been buying his anybody's interest and why people should pay attention to him as a president. I mean, doesn't he look like Mr. Smithers from The Simpsons to you? Like, like he's like, like, and no, like, what? Eat my shorts, dude. Eat my fucking shorts. Okay. I'm not talking about short sales either, because those are bad. Short sales? Serious? We'll talk about short sales. So why are my, okay. Oh my God, I'm so dehydrated. Okay. He has been working on a peaceful transition. I have not seen at any point, any time where he has tried to, throw he has not tried to ruin anything for anybody in this capacity in the future. So so Donald, my third point, expects people to be like, roll up your sleeves. You have your own good pair of hands. Let's get to it. Work for it. Doesn't matter. The government is always going to be there for you. It doesn't matter. Your government, if you do everything that you need to do, and it doesn't mean that you have to go out out to war, although you can, except of course, at this point, let's accept the fact that creating an empire at this point, I think we might suck at, except of course that we did leave our trace in other nations. And so that trace is always going to come back to their, I don't know, back to destroy us like kids do to their parents, and they're going to hate us and etc. So either way, that's scary. Sorry, but Vietnam, bad idea. I mean, these people are, I mean, they're, they don't really like their high tea. They're like, they just don't like that. Yeah. So on the other hand, Joe is definitely like putting people on crutches, right? Like he's get on your crutches. Only the good. Let's go back to when we started social welfare services, which was even before World War I, I believe, as far as I have to check. But no, 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 no. This is not a country that is going to feel sorry for leaving Europe, because when we left Europe, about what, 500 years ago, we wanted to break free and be somebody. And what I learned in my white elementary schools was that it's possible that we're just couch potatoes and sitting on our ass too often in front of a TV, which we shouldn't be doing, except, of course, that's probably not what the majority of us are doing. But seriously, like, come on. This nation deserves everything it fought for with every war. So that's what I have to say about Joe. Is he's not necessarily motivating. He's not giving us the morale to be like the people of a nation that can own up and defend, protect, and just own whatever it was that we this nation has already been through. I would be happy to go to war. I would be happy. I mean, I have a little bit of muscle, and yes, I know all about weapons. I think I can use a gun. I think I can, I can I can trick people into I like into not wanting to kill me so that I can kill them. Jeez, I said it. That's it. I'm fired. That's like, I really do want my world to be all the same. I want to work with people that understand what's at hand and what we're fighting for, have a common cause, but do it individualistically, knowing that there's no gain other than our own safety, our own harmony. I believe that Jesus that there was a man that we call Jesus that was Lord incarnated. I believe that. I believe that he came and he left his spirit here, and he's going to bring his spirit back, and his spirit is still here. And if he's born again, I don't want him to die. That's what I believe. That's what I want to hang on to. And with Biden, he's going to die. He's going to die because of his, you know, his class levels. Like, oh, but if you're not a part of this class or whatever, like, if you're not, or if you're not this or that, you just can't buy your way to heaven. And it really is this right in there. Okay. And then it just went off to just like sort of ranting about how Democrats are basically a time bomb, about how they like to like sort of cultivate a about people that eventually are going to blow up into the things that they did this summer through like with the riots, etc. Because it is like people, when they look at leadership, they look at maybe people don't have a household, um, a functional household where they do have that leadership, but they look at the national leadership, and you are basically just being like domestic abusive. You're saying to people, you can't have your own voice. You can't, and if you can't have your own voice, then guess what? You're basically like if I had married a crackhead and then he had told me, well, you're like worthless, I'm the best, and now your kids have to go and be drug dealers. Well, that's the same thing as like the the leaders of those places, which at this point is Biden and what is her name? What's Biden's wife name? Using Kamala, but Kamala is also probably. I mean, honestly, I mean Kamala's just like, geez, her own dad has criticized her about her decisions, about anything she says that basically makes her a sellout to to the rest of the minorities. But um, Jill, right? Jill and Joe went up the hill to spread. um, please don't. Um, Hunter is definitely not a good person. He's not a leader. He cannot lead. He cannot, if he's the son of a leader, then the leader would have more control over him. But no, if Joe Biden wins, Hunter is going to be the leader because he's the stronger of the two. Joe is very frail and really just thinks that everything's going to be okay magically. Like magically, if you just meet the no, it's not about the right people. It's about having the right uh, actions in place from the right people. But if you don't have those actions in place, you're really not any good. Again, Democrats have been a lot like a time bomb that, like a crock pot. Everything that they hold inside eventually has to come out, but it's always very conveniently done so when uh, it's not appropriate at any time, but you can always use it against, like, for example, if you were, so maybe that doesn't make you such a bad person. I mean, I'm not the judger. I'm not the judge. If you were holding anything back the whole time, you don't have to, because at this point, we are supposed to be a first world country where people can talk to each other. We can sit around and we can discuss things. And when we do, we should come to a reasonable conclusion that no reasonable person can disagree upon. And that's the whole idea behind being a first world country. Don't create this like sort of protective top to some sort of like pressure pot where if things don't go your way, you can just unscrew and everything goes hey. Just keep things steady. Make everybody a part of your world. I don't care about your nice clothes and homes or whatever. That's all fine. Let's please reflect on everything that we're going to take with us into a world where I don't want to invite anybody to. Jesus Christ came to invite people to his world, and I accepted. And so that's why I'm the way I am. And I'm happy to continue being the outspoken person that I am. I have more things to go through. Censorship is really bad. Kamala Harris accepted Planned Parenthood donations so that she can actually get elected, which is kind of sick because I had one abortion and it made me sick. I wish, and I haven't seen this guy again. I had to, but it made me wonder, what if there was no such thing as abortions? Would this guy, this guy, I really feel that he just goes around giving people, like getting people pregnant because he doesn't have to own up to them because they can get abortions. I'm not kidding. Like, this is the person that I met. And I'm happy to share that story with you. But if there was no abortions available, this guy would not have ever gotten me pregnant because there's no way that I landed myself to that. He just got me pregnant. Like, I was out of my first relationship ever, I thought he was a good guy, but no, he's trying to get me pregnant. And he didn't care when I told the kids of my father of their father when I first got pregnant that they were happy, and that was awesome. And I did, and I had two live births. And after that, when I went off, either way, to make to get to the point, this guy was a total abusive person. He was not the person that I was gonna end up with, but he definitely used the fact that abortions were possible to, I think, humiliate and diminish me. And he was always telling me, and I told him I was not using the pill, and he was coming over, and I was an adult, and if we were having sex, I thought it should be fine as long as this is my own immature brain. I'd already had kids. He knew I didn't, I had that responsibility, but because he knew, and I always told him, like, I feel that he did it on purpose to humiliate me. He did it on purpose because he was not going to own up to it, and he was going to try and degrade me. So abortions should not be allowed. not because the woman doesn't have control of her body, but because men are going to take advantage of women, knowing that it's that simple to get rid of their sexual abuse. And it leads to like a sort of like psychological, domination as well. That who wants to have that? Is he fucking kidding me? I mean, if I was a gangster, I would point a gun at him and just fucking shoot him in the head. Like, here, like, that's it, done. But instead, here I am, haven't seen the guy. I mean, I don't want to talk to the guy. I mean, what the fuck? Get the fuck out of here. Jesus. So yeah, at the end of the day, I really do feel that people that voted for Joe or have made things happen for Joe are really just more worried about job security. Like they're worried about like, oh, but I can lose my job and I can lose and I can. But you know what? I come from a family that is also very compromising and they're very like lenient. But I'm like fucking honest as fuck. I'm like, nope, this is what happened. And now, and this is where I'm born, and this is what I'm able to offer, and this is what I can do. And I don't want to get rich. Come on, people. What is that Bible quote? Your I tend to see it either like, back in like the other way around, but your treasure is where your heart is. Your heart is where your treasure is. That's a Bible quote. So, don't build your treasures in where you can have materialistically speaking, but also try and work on it as far as what you can build yourself up to be and what you're going to offer God. And I guess I'll leave you with what I feel that is my latest revelation about God. And I think that God is real. Like God is the most real thing than our world, and our world is not necessarily just anything that we imagine, because God grants us his own vision through that we should see on behalf of. So that's not it. But if God has given us life and we're here now, what can we give to God? Of course, we also have heard, give not to, ask not what the nation can do for you, but ask what you can do for the nation. It's the same thing for God. Ask not for, from God what he can do for you, but ask what you can do for God. So if God was able to bring himself down here, you can't see God. You can't see God. That's what faith is called. Faith is called. So you eventually reach a point where you only think about God and you only think about his creation and you only think about how perfect he is and how you could never have imagined that. Yet he gives you the wisdom and the paths and the formulas and everything that you need from day to day to survive and to succeed, excel, and create the next advancement. We get to the next level. Here comes God again. That's God. But what do we do for him? Here was my next revelation. If Jesus was born again today, would we kill him? Because it seems to me that in a lot of nations, especially not even in the Middle East, I mean, come on, give them a break. This is like, this can happen here in the United States. We can have God being born here and he can get shot right down the street. That we wouldn't know it. So, in conclusion, I think that there's a lot to think about as far as what you can be held accountable for and what you should be responsible for. Because what you might be held accountable for is probably something that doesn't come from God. It comes from maybe like a big government. But what you can be responsible for is for thinking, what can I do today to make this world a better place? You can't be held accountable for something that you don't have any management. Like, you're not responsible for. You're not responsible for if you have my kid 8 hours of the day while I'm at work, and then you have, and so at the end of the day is public services, as far as education and the penal code goes, has a lot of revision to undergo. It does have to do a lot with abuse of, you know, left wingers. Come on. Come on, man. Who are you fooling? You are privileged, as I have said to Kamala, and I have said she's a whore, but only because she's the whore that gets either used or likes to use people. Just like in the Bible, it says that the whore of Babylon would come. She's going to get used, and she's going to use people. People are not a commodity, Kamala. So I don't really mean it like as your pussy, because by looking at you, you're probably not very, but maybe your position and the way that you talk to people and demean people and try to slave drive because you didn't get your 4 acres and a mule, it's not acceptable. So really, I mean, I can't have you as my president. I was hoping that you would reform a little bit, as you would just kind of integrate, but it seems that you really went to like the whole like Black Panther. Um, and I went to schools with Black people, so I'm in a capacity to really be. And Black people are stronger than me, and they can beat me up anytime. But that's okay. I don't really expect that to be the case, since I've actually lived with Black people and I've been okay with them, just because I'm kind of normal and real, and I'm not trying to be better than people. I'm just trying to say I'm not running for vice president. And if any of these people, I mean, okay, well, I'm going to end the stream now, but I will get, I want to end this session by just mentioning that on December 21st, there's going to be a great conjunction, maybe sooner. Look out to the sky, southwest. That's where Jupiter and Saturn will be conjuncting, which I feel might explain a lot of the different activity that's coming our way, because you have to think of Earth as like a magnet, like a ball of just like gravity, or magnetism, that is also so we're all spinning and blah blah blah. So eventually we're just going to line up, and we're going to be entering into a new age, and it's possible that we do get hit with an asteroid eventually. When we do, I hope that we all, in our hearts, join ourselves with the Creator, whom has come to this earth to teach us what it's all about. And that means forgiveness. That means honesty. That means purity. We have to be just not in our own self-interest ever. That would be the first clue. Are you in your own self-interest? Sometimes when people are in their own self-interest, it means they want to screw everybody, right? Well, don't be in your self-interest, because you know what? When people screw you, you're jaded. And when you're jaded, you can just be in a position where, but from there, you just get to the next place, to the next place, to the next place. But you're not necessarily ever admitting to yourself that you're jaded, and that there's also good people out there. It's possible that a lot of people in leadership positions, starting from Newsom, whom has come under a lot of fire to his I guess favorites, right? Like his political favorites are also just there to protect whatever it is around him that is going to keep him feel comfortable and lead him to it's not working. It's not working. It's going to fail. You have to, and it's either God destroys us all, or you destroy people. And sometimes I wish this world would just restart, but not with people like that, not with people that are going to just use other people and want to ignore and be, neglect. Either way. So let's look out for that. And I hope you enjoyed my live stream, because I sure as heck did. Wish I would have been a little bit more organized, but I'm not really after anybody, and I don't have an agenda. These are just thoughts, and I think they're legitimate thoughts, and I think that I am willing to also stand up for them. So, if there was one wish that I could have as a recovering poor homeless person that was never invisible, because I had the fortune of living under certain, I guess, situations, I would say that that I would like to participate in planning for a shelter for homeless people that might have their own stories. I really do. At the end of the day, homeless people have to admit we're very um, proud, right? We're very proud. We don't want to ask for help. We want to be self-sufficient. We have to. So from some of the videos that I've watched, I think that it's possible that we have like a nomadic shelter where people check in electronically, even with government cell phones, which you already have. And everybody just goes to wherever they're comfortable. But from there, they just kind of, so if, if, if this government, this world is going to be behind the destruction of families and their homes, and there's kids that get scattered out of that, but they know what they want. Then once they're out there, is they have to choose. And obviously, I get it now that alimony is no longer deductible. Divorces are going to shrink, so divorces are discouraged, etc. So now that's supposed to bring a better place and harmony, and it doesn't answer to what's out there now. And I feel that it's still a, a case in point, so that when you have this place out there, and you have people choosing, they still make choices when they log into this place. And it could just be like bunk beds or whatever. They like to travel. These people are free on their own, so they get to choose. And this is what the kids of this new generation has to see as far as what might happen. At least it gives them some sort of like a logical, concrete, very tangible sense of what might happen in the event that things don't go the way that they thought they would, etc. So there's no so I just went off. Either way, thanks for listening, and have a great night.